I think the medical team has done a really good job of, doing my rehab every single day, staying in a routine, coming in, getting shots up. But more than anything, I think just focusing on being a really good teammate, being there for my teammates, being a voice for them, because that's what I am when I'm playing. So you got to still be that consistent voice when I'm sitting on the bench. So I try to do that as much as I can for them. And just try to be there for them, I think, has been my focus. And I think that can kind of distract you from not actually playing, is when you just focus on your teammates and, how can I serve them and help them.
A single player sparked the WNBA's multi-million-dollar explosion, catapulting the league into unprecedented national prominence. However, those who stand to gain from this extraordinary expansion are deliberately undermining it rather than rejoicing in it. Prepare for the enigmatic self-destruction, the startling resistance, and the hidden truths at the center of an unquestionable revolution.
It's a unique perspective, when you're out there playing and actually in the heat of the moment, you don't always realize everything, you don't always see everything, you see things from a different perspective that maybe the coaching staff didn't see. So it's certainly different. So I'm trying to, kind of be that connector between the coaches and then my teammates at the same time, whether, that's in the locker room at halftime, whether that's during timeouts of, things I see from the bench that maybe might be a little bit different of a perspective than maybe our point guard is seeing or, anybody on the floor is seeing. But yeah, I think it's taught me a lot. I've never been in that position before of actually getting to watch from the bench for an extended period of time. So I think you can learn the game of basketball just the same amount. It's the same as you turn on the TV and watch the NBA or you watch other WNBA games. That's the best way to learn basketball. Is just watch and absorb it, and it's the same when I'm not active too.
Imagine a financial crisis where a single player's name on a roster can cause prices to rise by thousands of %, turning $3 tickets into a king's ransom. That is the startling truth of what many are now referring to as Clark Comics. Even while its core followers adored the WNBA, it mostly operated in the background of popular sports prior to this force entering the arena. To put it plainly, ticket prices were reasonable and frequently only a symbolic gesture. However, the market went crazy when she came out. Consider playing the Mystics in a game similar to the Fever. A ticket that used to only cost $3 before Clark's full arrival suddenly became extremely valuable. With each move she makes on the court, its worth soars. This was not a slow ascent. It was an astonishing rise that defied the league's prior economic calculations. An almost bizarre upset to the status quo.
Yeah, I'll be reevaluated this weekend, so I'll miss this weekend's game, but after that it's, day by day and see how I feel and just kind of turn to the medical staff and what they think. But I feel like I've made a lot of progress and I feel good, and not going to rush coming back. It's just not worth it. But
this issue is pervasive and is changing the sport's very financial foundation. Think about the clear, indisputable evidence. The cheapest ticket was an incredibly low $3 just 2 nights before a planned matchup between the Mystics and the Fever. However, those identical tickets went from being couch cushions to needing a second mortgage when this one person's name came up and the anticipation of her presence grew. We're discussing a market move so significant that the Federal Reserve may need to intervene in order to comprehend it. There is more to this than just a star athlete. Fans argue about auctioning off a kidney for a courtside seat as a force of nature drains threes from the moon. For an entire organization, this one person, this rookie, represents the ultimate golden goose, the golden ticket, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. They just have to keep her safe at all costs.
Maybe a possibility or... We'll see. I think, we're trying not to put an exact date out there because it is kind of a day-by-day thing and see how I feel. And, this type of injury, you don't know when I wake up, I'll feel, different than the day before, and we'll see. It could be a possibility, but I could also not be available for that game too.
However, a statement that shocked the sports world revealed the true, quite astonishing evidence of this economic revolution. Information about her injury. Her team was set to play Angel Reese's team in a crucial game that was already a box office hit on June 7th in Chicago. At first, tickets were selling for a reasonable $76, which was a good price for a WNBA game. Then the heartbreaking news was made. An injury would prevent the sensation from participating in that game. The market responded quickly, ruthlessly, and mercilessly. The price of those $76 tickets dropped to just $25. Take a moment to consider that.
I think at times the hardest part is just not being able to be involved in practice. I love practice. Not people always not a ton of people always enjoy like coming to practice every single day, but that's something I like really enjoy. Like I really enjoy coming out here and like competing every single day with my teammates. Like that's probably honestly what I miss most. Obviously I miss the games. That goes for anybody that's ever hurt, but like I love practice. I love getting better. So I think that's just kind of been the time for me to like really find some patience. And
the value of those tickets was immediately reduced by an astounding 70% due to her simple absence. The major act just isn't showing up, and it's like a huge stadium built for 20,000 yelling fans suddenly booming with a quiet rustle of emptiness. It's not just a player effect. The economic restructuring is enormous. Without properly understanding what's really going on, the WNBA is witnessing its entire financial environment get dunked on. There is a clear difference between what happened before and after Caitlin Clark. In the latter case, your wallet is immediately thrown into the luxury tax category. If she's the top player in the league, you can argue about it all you want. However, you cannot dispute that she is the most significant because she is. It is a clear, indisputable fact that she is worth more than all the other players put together.
No, definitely early in the game, but I couldn't tell you the exact play something occurred on, and could have occurred over the course of the game too. And then obviously adrenaline like covers up a lot of stuff when you're in the heat of battle. And after the game, I had some pain, and then got an MRI, and that kind of gave me the result that I didn't want to see. But those type of things don't lie. So yeah.
There's more to this player than just basketball dribbling. She's attacking established egos, changing media narratives, and spilling bank accounts. Her influence extends beyond the court's boundaries and becomes an all-pervasive force in the arena, much like oxygen. The numbers increase even while she's not playing. Sales of merchandise are extremely high. Since her arrival, shirt sales have increased by an astounding 1,193%, according to some teams. With each visit, TV ratings are breaking records, and networks are rushing to find new camera angles. They might as well be tracking her every step with drones. 5 different sports-related blogs are using every scratch of her nose as fodder. The strange phenomenon in her natural hardwood habit is being tracked by ESPN and National Geographic.
Now, fans that either sold their tickets or whatever, all of a sudden an emphasis is starting to get thrown onto the tickets where people believe she will be playing. And that's starting to make the ticket prices go up, and up.
The league's social media following is growing at an unprecedented rate, and casual fans who previously couldn't distinguish a dribble handoff from a hot dog stand are now passionately discussing zone defense on TikTok. 30 points isn't the only goal here. It's about a persistent, ubiquitous presence that elevates the WNBA into the mainstream and completely changes the public's image of it. Crowds are apparently acting like she's Taylor Swift attending an NFL game, demanding attention even during her warm-ups, and yelling louder during pre-game drills than at the opening tip-off, which is making security personnel anxious. It's a dramatic change that serves as a sobering reminder of how much larger this league could actually be if it embraced the spectacle.
In fact, ticket sales are down 70% in many places. The Fever played the Mystics 2 nights ago. The cheapest ticket before her injury was announced was $41, okay? The cheapest one. After her injury was announced and people knew that she wasn't going to be playing, the lowest ticket price dropped to $3. $3. This is the Caitlin Clark effect. The WNBA still doesn't quite realize what they have in Caitlin Clark. She is the absolute golden goose, the golden ticket. She is the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. They must protect her at all costs.
Her absences due to injuries or bad nights don't calm the tempest. They simply turn it into a different kind of frenzy. Because fans show up in the hopes that she could make an appearance, scalpers outside arenas continue to charge Coachella-level prices. Who else has that kind of invisible pull? Even when sidelined, that degree of magnetic attraction. Not the athletes sharing passive-aggressive Instagram stories about honoring veterans, of course. But it's important to show respect to those who set the path. The fact that 2.5 million people watched this phenomenon being triple-teamed at half-court speaks for itself. It is an indisputable fact. She is not a rival to them. She is everyone's elevator. However, some appear determined to cut the wires rather than ride to previously unheard of heights, seemingly unaware of the rising tide that raises all boats.
Don't hate the player, hate the game she got, because she's really talented, especially for being Palangi, Just she's like the Stephen Curry of WNBA with the threes and stuff. Like, proven fact is, like, they had a game on June 7th scheduled. You know, it was going to be Ada Reese's team, which plays for Chicago, and then for Caitlin Clark's team. They were supposed to go up there playing Chicago on June 7th. First, the ticket sales were at $76 a ticket. Then after they found out Caitlin Clark's not playing that game, she got injured, sales dropped to $25 a ticket.
This is the point at which the narrative takes an eerie, nearly tragic turn. For someone who is essentially bringing the entire company into the national limelight like a point guard on a mission from ESPN, you would expect the league, its players, and its entire ecosystem would literally roll out the red carpet. However, some athletes are behaving as though their lunch money and sponsorship deals were stolen by this generational potential. On the surface, it's all, "Welcome to the league, rookie." Perhaps a few well-crafted greetings, but underneath there's a ton of body checks, side glances, and barely disguised remarks about newbies having to earn it. Earn it. It seems that being the main factor behind sold-out arenas, record viewership, and your next game being on national television for the first time in 12 years is not a prerequisite for earning it.
Support system that shouldn't change. I think, you know, Caitlin knows that she has the ears and eyes of the locker room, and the support that she has behind, you know, whether it's us or anybody else. I would like to think that she knows it's there, and to really take her time and make sure that she's, you know, well enough to be who she needs to be for us, because I want the 100% Caitlin, so I'll take it.
A buzzer beater in overtime is frequently drowned out by veteran envy or even dread of being overshadowed. You can feel the irony. Diva theatrics and demands for special treatment are not important to this player's game. She is concentrating on the purity of the game itself while launching logo 3ES as if her shot chart were GPS-driven. Some players, on the other hand, appear to be more concerned with maintaining their position as league gatekeepers than they are with changing the course of the game. The phenomenon outside of games is very instructive. People still act as though she's going to emerge from the tunnel, even though she doesn't play. Suddenly, the absence of one youngster stands out more than the entire starting lineup of the home club. However, a plethora of tweets and hardly disguised player statements suggest that this rookie created the limelight. They whisper, "She's just a rookie." Alright, but she's a rookie as well, and she's taking more seats than your last 3 postseason trips put together. It's a perplexing, nearly self-destructive position. A perplexing opposition to the golden age that has reached their front door. On the court itself, this strange and unsettling relationship takes an even more sinister turn. The athlete is being treated like she entered a clearance store with a full cart, despite being the league's unmistakable engine and attracting unheard-of attention and investment. She's getting more uncalled fouls than a vegan cafe's chicken nugget. However, the referees frequently wave them off while appearing unaware or purposefully permissive. They say, "Play on. Continue playing. What game are we playing? Mad Max Fury Court." This goes beyond simple rough play. It concerns a structural absence of protection for the most valuable and marketable athlete in the league. She is a priceless asset that symbolizes the future. She seems to be being tested to see how much physical abuse she can withstand before becoming a walking insurance claim. It's time the WNBA acknowledged her as the unquestionable monarch of a quickly evolving scene and the sport's undeniable future. Her influence is permanent, her power is indisputable, and her legacy is only getting started. Now, all that remains to be seen is whether the league will at last see its mistakes and surf this wave, welcoming the change that has arrived, or perish in the rip current it created. The decision has enormous ramifications. Please share your thoughts in the comment section, subscribe, and enable all notifications so you don't miss anything. We'll see you in the next one after you click the video on the screen.